All right, let's delve deep. Welcome back to another immersive deep dive. Today, we're plunging into the fascinating, complex, and sometimes really dramatic world of the Goetia. Specifically, we're looking at the Mathers Crowley edition of The Lesser Key of Solomon the King, Lemegeton, Book 1. Now, for you, our dedicated listener, someone who, appreciates these intricate layers of history and esotericism, this isn't just another ancient text we're pulling out. It's actually the fourth version of the Goetia we're exploring together, which, honestly, that really underscores the enduring nature and, well, the multiple interpretations of this incredible ancient grimoire. Our mission, as always, is to extract the most important nuggets of knowledge and insight, give you a shortcut to being truly well-informed. Get ready for some surprising facts and a rich blend of history, occultism, and even a dash of revolutionary psychological interpretation.
What's particularly intriguing here is precisely that enduring quality, as you said. This isn't merely a republication. This specific edition is, well, pivotal. It's shaped by that truly unique collaboration and eventual, really fiery conflict that makes it stand out. It's a source that kind of masterfully combines the traditional wisdom of an ancient magical grimoire with the heavy influence of key figures from the late 19th and early 20th century occult revival. Makes it a text of profound dual nature, really.
That dual nature is exactly what makes it so compelling, isn't it? So let's immerse ourselves in the core text itself, the Goetia, the Lesser Key of Solomon the King. It's described as Book Ein of a larger compilation called the Lemegeton, which is, essentially an ancient textbook of magical instruction, a grimoire. The key figures behind this specific edition: Samuel Liddell MacGregor Mathers, who did the translation, and the notorious Aleister Crowley, who took on the roles of editor, annotator, and, well, enlarger. For reference, we're talking about the 1995 1997 Red Wheelweiser second edition of Crowley's version. That's the one that really brought this text into the, let's say, modern occult consciousness. But to truly understand the spirit of this work, you really have to unpack the captivating, dramatic backstory between Mathers and Crowley. Their initial meeting in early 1899 was far from mundane. Alan Bennett MacGregor, a fellow member of the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, or GD, famously greeted Crowley. And I'm quoting here, "You tile brother, you have been meddling with the Goetia." When Crowley, maybe a little nervously, denied it, Bennett's follow-up was even more pointed. "In that case, the Goetia has been meddling with you." Hush. Now, at this time, Mathers was a prominent leader of the Golden Dawn, and Crowley, with his intense dedication, had advanced rapidly through the Order's grades in just, 6 months. He gained significant influence very quickly.
Right. And if we connect this to the broader landscape of magical evolution, this personal drama actually became a driving force. Crowley and Mathers, once mentor and pupil, well, they descended into what many call a magical war. Mathers grew increasingly distrustful of Crowley's rapid ascent and his, let's say, unorthodox methods. And while Crowley initially showed loyalty, even helping Mathers recover a crucial Lemegeton manuscript, the relationship it fractured beyond repair. Crowley, ever the provocateur, eventually published his edition of the Goetia in 1904. And partly, it seems, as a direct challenge, even a kind of weapon against Mathers. He famously included that pointed witticism on the title page, declaring it translated into the English tongue by a dead hand, a clear jab at Mathers, who had supposedly stopped active magical work then. It's a really bold statement, marked a definitive break in the emergence of Crowley's unique vision.
That dead hand line is chilling, isn't it? And powerful. Really sets the tone for Crowley's approach. And his initiated interpretation of ceremonial magic, which he presented right in this edition. It put forth an idea that was, well, for its time, utterly revolutionary. Controversial, even. He viewed the spirits of the Goetia not as external entities or, literal demons, but as portions of the human brain. So he saw magical operations not as summoning external beings, but more like empirical physiological experiments, designed to stimulate and integrate these specific, often hidden parts of the brain. This was a radical departure from the traditional understanding of objective spirit reality. It shifted the entire focus of magic from external control to, well, internal mastery.
Precisely. And to bolster this, Crowley really dug into the etymology of demon. He traced it from the Greek daemon, which means something like knowing, or to divide destinies. He showed how its meaning evolved, from ancient Sumerian minor spirits, which could be good or bad originally, to the later, more negative, demonized entities, influenced by things like Persian dualism. For Crowley, this reinterpretation paved the way for his concept of the holy guardian angel, his daemon. This became the single supreme ritual, and as he put it, the next step in human evolution. And what's really provocative is that he even suggested that this ultimate spiritual attainment, this union with one's higher self, could be invoked using these very goetic conjurations. were traditionally associated with, lower magic.
That's fascinating because he's effectively blurring the lines, right, between what was traditionally called high magic, or the Theriurgia dealing with divine or benevolent spirits, and low magic, Goetia, which involved invoking spirits for more earthly, often mundane needs. Crowley's approach seems to sort of resolve this ancient dilemma. He prioritizes attaining the guardian angel through these seemingly lower magical means. It's a profound reframe, really. Shifts the entire purpose of the work. Makes it less about commanding devils and more about self-discovery and integration. Okay, so from this captivating backdrop of personal rivalries and philosophical shifts, how does the actual text instruct a practitioner? Let's turn to the practical content of the Goetia itself. The Lemegeton, this larger magical compendium, is traditionally made up of 5 distinct parts. Each part focuses on different types of spirits and magical operations. You've got Goetia for summoning often, let's say, unruly spirits, the Herja Goetia for mixed good and evil spirits, Ars Paulina for planetary angels, Ars Almadel for angelic powers via a wax tablet, and Ardis Nova or Notoria for acquiring knowledge through angelic conjuration. But this specific deep dive, like we said, concentrates solely on the Goetia, that foundational first part. At its heart are the 72 chief spirits of the Goetia, often associated with a powerful Hebrew Kabbalistic term, Shemhamphorash, which refers to the 72 names of God. A fascinating twist, isn't it? Connecting these seemingly infernal entities back to divine names. These spirits are meticulously categorized by rank. You have kings, dukes, marquises, princes, presidents, earls, and knights. And their seals, which are crucial for invocation and control, are made from specific metals tied to planetary associations. For instance, king seals are gold, linked to the sun. Marquises use silver for the moon. Dukes and earls employ copper, associated with Venus. Princes and prelates use tin for Jupiter. Knights use lead for Saturn. And presidents employ mercury, the metal for the planet Mercury. The grimoire then dives into these intriguing examples of spirits and their reported abilities. It gives you a glimpse into the diverse desires and aims of the practitioners, For example, there's Baal. Appears as a cat, a toad, a man, or all 3 at once. Said to make one invisible, commands 66 legions. Then you have Agaras, an old man riding a crocodile. Teaches languages, causes earthquakes, can even bring back runaways. Paimon is described as a mighty king, riding a dromedary, trumpets blaring. He teaches all arts and sciences, reveals secrets of earth and mind, bestows great dignity. We also find Bugri. Appears in the form of Sagittary, reputed to teach philosophy, logic, virtues of plants, heals all distempers. And it's here that Crowley himself told that anecdote about evoking Boucher for his mentor Alan Bennett's asthma. Apparently it led to Bennett moving to a warmer climate, implying a successful, if maybe indirect, cure. Interesting story. Then there's Asmodee, a truly formidable figure. A 3-heads bull, man, ram, serpent's tail, goose feet. Teaches arithmetic, astronomy, geometry, handicrafts, said to make one invincible. And finally, Belial, said to have been created next after Lucifer himself. Appears as 2 beautiful angels in a chariot of fire. Distributes presentations, senatorships, gives familiars. But the grimoire warns he is a great liar unless constrained by divine names. This text specifically mentions King Solomon famously binding Belial and other chiefs in a brass vessel. Indeed, the legend goes that King Solomon, wise and powerful, shut these prideful spirits in a brass vessel because of their insolence. But this vessel was later broken open by Babylonians looking for treasure. They inadvertently released the spirits back into the world, which sort of provides the foundation for why they can still be invoked.
Right, and this brings up a vital consideration. How do these incredibly specific details and diverse abilities tie into the idea of practical magic, especially through Crowley's lens? The book meticulously outlines a variety of magical requisites. Each plays a critical role in the ceremonial structure and in asserting control over these spirits. For instance, there's the magical circle, 9 feet across, designed for the magician's protection from the spirit's malice, as it says. The magical triangle, 3 feet across, placed 2 feet from the circle. That's the precise spot where the summoned spirit is commanded to appear. Then you have the hexagram of Solomon, made on calf skin, worn on the vestment. This supposedly compels spirits to take human shape and obey. The pentagram of Solomon, gold or silver, worn on the breast. That's for preservation and command. The magic ring or disc, also gold or silver, held before the face to protect from, quote, stinking sulfurous fumes and flaming breath the spirit might emit. The vessel of brass is significant, of course, not just the original container from the legend, but also a symbolic reference for commanding spirits into.
And finally, the secret seal of Solomon, a really powerful binding seal, must be crafted under strict ritual conditions, like using the blood of a black cock under an increasing moon in Virgo. Little things like that. This seal is believed to grant love, victory in battle, protection. What's striking is its resemblance to ancient sepulchral steels. It hints at a deep historical lineage for these symbols. Shows these tools aren't just props, you know. They're integral components, each with a specific purpose in asserting the magician's authority and control over whatever's being invoked.
Okay, building on that idea of control and authority, let's move to the very heart of the Goetia, the conjurations themselves. The book details a really rigorous step-by-step process for invoking a spirit, from the initial invocation right through to demanding obedience. And it doesn't shy away from outlining severe consequences for disobedience. Let's break down the layers of these potent spoken commands. The process kicks off with the first conjuration. This invokes the spirit using powerful divine names like Berlinensis, Baldacensis, Adone, Awel, Tetragrammaton, Ihova, commanding them to appear in a fair human shape. Now, if the spirit delays or proves recalcitrant, the magician moves on. They go to a second conjuration. This one's more potent, using names associated with biblical figures and their miracles. Think of Agile for Lot, Ioth for Jacob, Anaphaxiton for Aaron, or Schema Amathia for Joshua, names believed to carry immense power due to their historical, miraculous associations. And if even that isn't enough to compel obedience, there's the constraint. This further binds and compels the spirit with names Solomon himself supposedly used to imprison them in that brass vessel. Names like Adonai, Priai, and Aitman.
What's particularly compelling here is the sheer power ascribed to specific words and names within these rituals. It reflects a deep ancient belief in the transformative nature of language itself. The language isn't just descriptive, it is the tool. And it's not all threats and compulsion, interestingly. After a successful evocation, there's this fascinating return to politeness and formality. The magician performs the address unto the spirit upon his coming, explicitly showing the pentacle, and delivers the welcome unto the spirit, which binds them to remain without falsity. Critically, the license to depart ritual formally dismisses the spirit without harm, but with a crucial instruction: the magician is not to go out of the circle until he or they be gone. Emphasizes the continued need for caution and control, even in dismissal.
It's a really elaborate dance of command and dismissal. And if the spirit still doesn't appear after those initial powerful conjurations, the book instructs the magician to escalate further. They invoke the four great kings, Amaimon, Corson, Zimime, and Goep. These rule the cardinal points, and the idea is to compel them to send their subordinate spirits. If even the kings can't force the spirit to appear, well, the text implies the spirit is bound in hell, and the magician resorts to ultimate punishments to force their hand. This includes the general curse, Spirit's Chain, which is a broad binding spell, followed by the conjuration of the fire, where the spirit's name and seal are burned, presumably causing them distress. And the most extreme measure, the greater curse, is a final damning act. This culminates in burning the spirit's seal and name, condemning them to the lake of fire and brimstone until the day of judgment. It's a remarkable escalation of power, isn't it? From divine invocation to outright spiritual damnation, all to force obedience. A real testament to the profound belief in the power of the magician's will.
It truly is a remarkable system of escalation and control. Highlights the practitioner's perceived authority. And we also see the distinct influence of Crowley's editorial hand in this edition, with the inclusion of Enochian translations of the conjurations. This was an edition attributed to his magical name, Frater Perdurabo, indicates further layer of esoteric interpretation applied to the text. Enochian itself is a complex angelic language, famously received by the Elizabethan magus John Dee back in the 16th century, shows how Crowley layered different magical systems onto this ancient grimoire. This then begs a crucial question for you, the listener. Regardless of whether these spirits are external entities or, as Crowley posited, aspects of the human psyche, what does this elaborate system of language and symbol truly represent for the consciousness of the practitioner? Does it primarily exist to command external forces, or is it fundamentally a symbolic blueprint for mastering one's own inner landscape and hidden faculties?
So what are we left with after this deep dive? We've journeyed through this specific edition of the Goetia. From its contentious origins shaped by that dramatic, even warring rivalry between Mathers and Crowley, to its intricate instructions for summoning and controlling a multitude of spirits, we've seen how it masterfully blends ancient tradition with intense personal rivalries and a truly groundbreaking philosophical reinterpretation, particularly through Crowley's profound psychological lens. It's a work that continues to provoke and inspire, inviting us to look beyond the surface of what it means to command.
Exactly. And this leaves us with a provocative thought for you to consider, a final question for your own exploration. Given Crowley's radical reinterpretation of these spirits as aspects of the human brain, what does the control described so meticulously in the Goetia truly represent for the modern learner? Is it about commanding external entities? Or is it really a symbolic blueprint for mastering one's own inner landscape and integrating those hidden parts of ourselves? That's a question worth pondering long after our conversation ends.